Levi Campbell was tired. Tired of the glitz, tired of the expectations, tired of being viewed only as the heir. Born into one of the wealthiest families in the world, he had known nothing but privilege. Yet, to him, that privilege felt like a prison. His every move was dictated by tradition, monitored by his father, Malcolm Campbell, a man revered and feared alike. From a young age, Levi had been told who he was, what he would become, and even who he should love. But Levi wanted something different. He wanted love, a real, authentic connection that wasn't bound to wealth or status. So, after yet another night of dinner with potential suitable partners carefully selected by his mother, Isabel, Levi made up his mind. He would leave the life he knew, disguise his identity, and find love on his terms. 4 months, he planned every detail of his escape, knowing the risks if he were discovered. His destination? New York City. A place big enough to lose himself in and diverse enough to find the love he sought. He'd go by the name Lucas, blending into the vibrant chaos of New York without the shadow of the Campbell name looming over him. With his identity hidden, Levi, now Lucas, boarded a flight, feeling freedom for the first time. The world he was about to enter was vastly different from the one he'd known, but that was exactly what he needed. Stepping off the plane, Lucas marveled at the energy of New York City. The noise, the diversity, the sheer enormity of it all was overwhelming but exhilarating. He checked into a modest hostel in Brooklyn, miles away from the luxurious penthouses he was accustomed to. Here, he was just another face among thousands, a feeling that was both liberating and strange. For the first time, he had to figure out everyday life on his own. He found himself fumbling with subway maps, eating cheap street food, and navigating crowded streets. But the novelty of it made him feel more alive than he'd ever been. Each interaction, every small conversation, seemed real and unscripted. Then, one evening, Lucas walked into a cozy, bustling cafe in the East Village. It was the kind of place with mismatched chairs, a stage for open mic nights, and walls covered in local artists' paintings. That's when he saw her, a young woman standing behind the counter, with a warm smile and sparkling eyes. Her name tag read Emma. She had this way about her, a genuine, unfiltered kindness, that drew him in instantly. Lucas ordered a coffee, using every ounce of willpower to appear casual, but Emma noticed him fumbling with his change, his unfamiliarity with the small rituals of daily life that were second nature to others. She grinned and offered a quick, "Don't worry, first time's on me." They exchanged a few words, and he found himself captivated by her humor, her wit, her perspective on life. She talked about her art, her dreams of opening a gallery one day, and the joy she found in small moments. It was clear she had no idea who he really was, and he liked it that way. As Lucas left the cafe, he realized that this encounter with Emma was just the beginning of something significant, something he couldn't yet fully understand. But he knew one thing for certain. His journey to find real love had begun. Over the next few weeks, Lucas made a habit of visiting the cafe, always hoping for a chance to talk with Emma. Sometimes they chatted briefly during her breaks, and other times he'd just sit back and watch her as she moved around the cafe, her energy brightening up even the dreariest of days. Each encounter left him more intrigued. To fit in, Lucas took on odd jobs around the city, things he never thought he'd do. He worked as a cashier at a convenience store, a delivery driver, even a part-time dishwasher at a small Italian restaurant. Every dollar earned felt like a small victory. Living on a tight budget, he was forced to learn how ordinary people lived, budgeting for groceries and making rent. The irony wasn't lost on him. Back home, Levi Campbell never had to think twice about money. But here, as Lucas, he found a strange pride in stretching a dollar and earning his way. It grounded him, made him appreciate the simplicity of life. With every odd job, he gained a newfound respect for the resilience of the people around him, people who worked hard to make ends meet without a hint of complaint. Emma and Lucas continued to grow closer, though she still knew him only as the quiet guy from Brooklyn who loved her coffee. They began meeting outside of the cafe, grabbing dinner at cheap diners, exploring street art, even attending a couple of her friends' gallery shows. The more time he spent with her, the more he was drawn to her grounded outlook, her dreams that she pursued without a trace of entitlement or expectation. One evening, while they were wandering through a park, Emma opened up about her past. She had grown up in a small town with nothing but her art to keep her company. She'd moved to New York with a few $100s and a portfolio, determined to make something of herself. Her journey was one of resilience and perseverance, the complete opposite of Lucas's privileged upbringing. Listening to her story, Lucas felt an overwhelming sense of admiration. Here was someone who fought for every inch of her life, and it made him question everything he'd ever known. He wondered if he would have had the same strength to build himself up if he hadn't been born into wealth. For the first time, Lucas felt vulnerable in front of someone. He wasn't the wealthy heir or the privileged son. He was just a young man searching for something real. And in that vulnerability, he realized he was falling for Emma in a way he'd never expected. As Lucas and Emma grew closer, he found himself facing a mounting internal struggle. Each day he spent with her, he fell a little deeper, feeling things he'd never thought possible. But with every step forward, the weight of his secret grew heavier. How long could he keep his true identity hidden? And, more importantly, would she understand his deception if she ever found out? One evening, as they shared takeout on the fire escape outside Emma's apartment, she casually asked him about his family. Lucas hesitated, choosing his words carefully. He told her that he was from out of town and that he had complicated relationships with his family. Emma sensed his discomfort and quickly shifted the conversation, talking instead about her plans to save up for an art studio. Emma's trust in him was unwavering, and Lucas's guilt began to gnaw at him. He was living a double life, caught between the world he came from and the life he had built with her. The thought of her discovering the truth and walking away was unbearable, yet he couldn't bring himself to reveal it. He rationalized that he was protecting their relationship, keeping it pure and untainted by the realities of his wealthy background. But deep down, he knew that this secrecy was slowly unraveling him. One weekend, Emma invited Lucas to meet her friends. They gathered at a small rooftop party, overlooking the city lights, laughing and sharing stories. Lucas realized just how different her world was from his own. A world of dreams, ambition, and people who valued each other for who they were, not for their status or wealth. He felt like an outsider, yet he had never felt more accepted. Emma's friends took to Lucas immediately, sensing his genuine interest in their lives. He realized that these people were Emma's chosen family, her support system in the chaotic city. Being a part of her world, even for a brief time, made him feel like he was living the life he had always craved. As the night went on, Emma pulled him aside and said, "You know, Lucas, you're different from anyone I've ever met. You're kind, humble, and real. I can see it in everything you do." Her words touched him deeply, yet the guilt returned, stronger than ever. Back at his hostel, Lucas lay awake, replaying her words in his mind. He was deceiving her, hiding a fundamental truth about himself. But confessing the truth felt impossible. How could he explain his elaborate ruse without breaking her trust? As he wrestled with his dilemma, Lucas resolved to cherish every moment he had with her, however long it lasted. He knew he was living on borrowed time, and he would make every second count, even if it meant facing the consequences of his secret someday. As weeks passed, Lucas and Emma's relationship continued to deepen. Every shared laugh, every quiet moment, only strengthened the connection they had built. But Lucas's secret weighed heavily on him, and he sensed that the time to tell her the truth was nearing. He was just waiting for the right moment, though he dreaded the potential fallout. One afternoon, Emma surprised Lucas with an invitation to join her on a day trip outside the city. "I want to show you where I go when I need to clear my head," she said, a hint of mystery in her eyes. Lucas, who had never seen this side of Emma, eagerly agreed. They spent the day in a small lakeside town, hiking along wooded trails and sharing stories about their dreams and fears. Emma seemed to come alive in nature, and Lucas saw a side of her that was pure, free from the pressures of city life. They laughed and enjoyed each other's company, and for a moment, Lucas almost forgot his secret. He felt like he truly belonged with her. During their hike, they reached a clearing overlooking a breathtaking view of the lake. Emma turned to him, her eyes filled with sincerity, and said, "Lucas, I know I haven't said this before, but you mean a lot to me. I've never felt this way about anyone." Her words took him by surprise, and he felt a mix of joy and dread. In that instant he wanted to tell her everything, to lay bare his true identity and hope that she would understand. But he held back, fearing he would ruin the beautiful moment they were sharing. Instead, he responded, "You mean a lot to me too, Emma. More than you know." As they returned to the city that evening, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of a cliff. The longer he stayed silent, the harder it became to reveal the truth. Yet, he couldn't bear the thought of losing her. A few days later, his parents, Malcolm and Isabel, unexpectedly contacted him. They were furious, demanding to know where he had gone and why he had abandoned his responsibilities. His mother begged him to return, reminding him of the legacy he was supposed to carry on. But Lucas had already made up his mind. This life in New York, with Emma, was the life he wanted. The conversation with his parents shook him. He realized that if he wanted to be with Emma, he would eventually have to make a choice between the life he had been born into and the life he was building with her. But he also knew he couldn't hide forever. Soon, the truth would have to come out. The weight of his secret loomed over him, casting a shadow on his happiness. He wanted so desperately to be honest with Emma, to show her who he really was. But the fear of losing her kept him silent. Lucas decided that he would reveal everything, soon. He just needed to find the right words. Lucas knew he couldn't keep his secret from Emma any longer. Each day he delayed, his guilt grew, and he feared what might happen if she discovered the truth from someone else. He had to tell her himself, even if it risked everything they had built together. One evening, Lucas invited Emma to dinner at a small, intimate restaurant in the city. They talked and laughed, but he was quieter than usual, nervously picking at his food, struggling to find the right moment to bring up his secret. Finally, as the meal was winding down, he looked into her eyes and took a deep breath. "Emma, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice shaky but determined. "I haven't been completely honest with you about who I am." She looked at him, a mixture of curiosity and concern in her eyes. "What do you mean?" "My real name isn't Lucas," he admitted. "It's Levi. Levi Campbell. I come from a wealthy family, a very wealthy family. I came here to find something real, to escape the expectations of my family, and to see if I could find love without money getting in the way." Emma's expression shifted from curiosity to shock, then to hurt. "So, all this time, you've been lying to me? Pretending to be someone you're not?" Lucas felt a pang in his chest, realizing just how deeply he had hurt her. "I didn't mean to deceive you, Emma. I wanted to know if someone could love me for who I am, not for what I have. I didn't know it would turn into this. I didn't expect to find someone like you." Emma looked away, her face a mixture of sadness and anger. "All this time I thought I knew you, Lucas, Levi, or whoever you are. I opened up to you, trusted you, and you were keeping this huge secret from me." "I know, and I'm so sorry," he replied, his voice thick with regret. "But everything I feel for you is real. I've never felt this way about anyone. I love you, Emma. I just didn't want my family's wealth to cloud what we have." She took a deep breath, composing herself. "I need some time to think about this, Levi. I don't know if I can just move past it. You weren't honest with me from the start, and that's hard to ignore." Lucas nodded, understanding the gravity of his mistake. "I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll be here, hoping that you can forgive me." They left the restaurant in silence, Emma pulling away from him as they walked. Lucas returned to his modest apartment, feeling an emptiness he had never known. He had bared his soul, but now he was left waiting, unsure if Emma would ever be able to forgive him. Days passed, and Lucas was left with only his thoughts. Every memory, every moment they had shared haunted him. He wished he could go back, to start over and be honest from the beginning. But all he could do now was wait, hoping that Emma could see past his mistake and still believe in the man he truly was. Lucas spent the next week in a fog, his life consumed by thoughts of Emma. He went through the motions of his daily routine, but everything felt hollow without her. Each passing day brought a deeper understanding of how profoundly he had fallen for her, and how much he had risked by hiding the truth. One evening, just as he was beginning to lose hope, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Emma. She wanted to meet him at the cafe where they had first met. Lucas's heart raced as he hurried to the cafe, wondering if this was the end or a new beginning. When he arrived, Emma was already there, sitting at their usual table. She looked up at him, her face unreadable. He could tell she was guarded, uncertain, and it pained him to see the hurt he had caused. "Thank you for meeting me," he said softly as he sat down. Emma looked at him, her expression serious. "I needed some time to process everything, to understand why you did what you did. And honestly, Levi, I'm still struggling." He nodded, not daring to interrupt her. "You have to understand that this wasn't just a little white lie," she continued. "You pretended to be someone else. I trusted you, and I shared parts of my life with you. I thought you were genuine, but now I don't know who you really are." Lucas swallowed, choosing his words carefully. "Emma, I know I made a terrible mistake. I was afraid that if you knew about my background, you'd see me differently. I didn't want my family's wealth to define our relationship. But everything I've felt for you, every moment we've shared, that was real. I'm the same person you've known, just with a different name." Emma sighed, her gaze distant. "But it's not just about the name. It's about trust. I don't know if I can be with someone who kept something so fundamental from me. How can I believe anything you say now?" The words cut him deeply, but he knew she was right. He had betrayed her trust, and it wasn't something that could be easily fixed. But he couldn't let her go without a fight. "Emma, I understand if you can't forgive me. But please, just know that I never meant to hurt you. I came here to find something real, and with you, I did. You've changed me in ways I can't even begin to explain. If you give me a chance, I'll prove to you that I'm worth it." Emma was silent for a long time, staring at her coffee as if searching for answers in its depths. Finally, she looked up at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of pain and hope. "I need to take things slow, Levi. I need time to rebuild what we had, to see if I can trust you again. But I'm willing to try." Lucas felt a surge of relief and gratitude, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "Thank you, Emma. I'll do whatever it takes." They left the cafe that night with a tentative hope, both aware that the road ahead would be difficult but willing to walk it together. Lucas knew he would have to earn her trust all over again, to prove that his love was genuine. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was fighting for something real, something worth every sacrifice. And he was determined to make it right, no matter how long it took. In the weeks that followed, Lucas dedicated himself to rebuilding his relationship with Emma. Every small step forward felt like a victory, and each shared smile or laugh was a reminder of what he stood to lose if he failed. He was more open with her than he had ever been with anyone, sharing stories from his past and the struggles he faced as the Campbell heir. He wanted her to understand the weight he carried and the freedom he had found in her company. Emma, for her part, gradually began to let her walls down, seeing the sincerity in his actions and his genuine efforts to rebuild their trust. They spent more time together, visiting art galleries, taking long walks, and spending quiet nights talking about their dreams and fears. Slowly, the wounds began to heal, and Lucas felt a renewed sense of hope. One evening, Lucas surprised Emma by renting a small studio space for her, a modest but charming space where she could work on her art and display her pieces. "I wanted to support your dreams, just as you've helped me find mine," he told her, watching as her face lit up with joy and gratitude. Emma threw her arms around him, and for the first time in weeks, Lucas felt that their relationship had truly mended. They stood in the studio together, surrounded by blank canvases and possibilities, each knowing that this was the start of something new. Over time, Lucas began to consider his future more seriously. He realized that he couldn't avoid his family forever, and he didn't want to hide any part of his life from Emma. So, with her support, he decided to confront his parents and share his intentions with them. He flew home, uncertain of how his family would react, but determined to be honest about the life he wanted. To his surprise, his parents listened. They were shocked and disappointed, but after hearing him out, they understood that he was seeking a life on his own terms, away from the pressures of wealth and expectation. Though it was difficult, they eventually accepted his choice, allowing him the freedom he craved. Returning to New York with his family's reluctant blessing, Lucas felt an immense sense of relief. He no longer had to live a double life, and he could finally share his world with Emma without the burden of secrecy. With time, their relationship blossomed into something even deeper than before. Emma's trust in him grew, and Lucas found himself in a partnership built on honesty, mutual respect, and genuine love. He continued to support her art, and she, in turn, encouraged him to pursue his passions, unencumbered by his family's wealth. Eventually, Lucas proposed to Emma, not with the grandiose displays he had once imagined but with a quiet, heartfelt gesture in the very studio they had made their own. She said yes, and they began their life together, each bringing out the best in the other. In the end, Lucas had found what he had been searching for all along, not just love, but a life built on authenticity and choice. Together, they crafted a future that was uniquely theirs, a testament to the power of truth, resilience, and the courage to follow one's heart. And as they stood together, ready to face whatever the future held, Lucas knew he had found something more valuable than any fortune. He had found a love that was real, honest, and enduring. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. Your interest and support inspire us to bring you more captivating tales filled with emotions, twists, and the complexity of life, love, betrayal, and redemption. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. We value your voice and want to hear what you feel. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new story, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Thank you for bringing this channel to life with your views and encouragement. See you in the next story.